AI will be the greatest thing to ever happen in music. So why do you all hate it? In the past 10 days, a song that was released initially on TikTok went viral on all platforms and was quickly taken down. This song was first uploaded as a TikTok on April 4th, with a snippet promoting it on TikTok on April 15th. It was using The Weeknd and Drake's voice with original production, melodies, and lyrics. The song was created by an anonymous individual dressed as the ghost Casper with a bedsheet and clout goggles who goes by the name Ghostwriter977. The song took off, being posted everywhere, and according to Billboard, it accumulated over 1.4 million US streams before it was removed. This is without any external promotion, purely word of mouth, and quality of the product. After all, there have been plenty of AI covers and songs before this that didn't get any traction. So clearly there was something different about this, but it was taken down for copyright infringement everywhere, with celebration from a lot of music fans. A big music Twitter account voiced his own opinion on the amount of streams it accumulated, saying the following: "Some of y'all really walking around listening to AI music. That stuff is so sad, man." I disagreed, for the major reason being that, as long as the product is good, the consumer, for the most part, does not care how it was made. I replied, the majority of artists have someone else writing the song, someone else producing the beat, someone else doing the reference track, someone else adding Autotune, then mixing and mastering. We're already listening to AI music. This take was seen as controversial, intentionally so, that's the game of Twitter, to drum up engagement. But I meant it, and I get to explain it thoroughly here. Some of the pushback was saying, it's humans doing all of that. Well, sure, but not entirely. The AI is a technology. Perhaps some people think this guy just pressed auto-generate and it just gave him a song that was this good? Well, that's not how it works, yet. When I used AI, I meant what people are interpreting, which is fake. If all an artist is doing is performing a track that was entirely made for them, why should we respect them more than someone who used a voice that wasn't theirs to perform the song? The person who used the AI is a human, and that same human wrote a really great song, picked a really great beat if he didn't produce it himself, did the reference track himself with all the flows and the melodies, then mixed and mastered it to sound close to The Weeknd and Drake's voice, and on top of that, marketed it on their own to millions upon millions of people. This is a job for what a regular artist would take a team of at least 10 people, and one person did all of it themselves. And the only tool they used was an AI to recreate the voice. That sounds like hard work and talent to me. The creator of this song even tweeted out saying, "I was a ghostwriter for years and got paid close to nothing just for major labels to profit. The future is here." We don't know if this is actually true, but I'm willing to believe it because this was a well-written song. The problem is that the general audience, or I should say, the more music quote-unquote enthusiast or music purist audience, feel like the artist whose name on the track gets taken advantage of, which may be the case sometimes. But the truth is, writers, ghostwriters, and even beat makers get the short end of the stick more. Writers, on the other hand, don't even get paid anything up front. The artist is a brand. They can earn money elsewhere. Jack Harlow was just in a movie. He gets endorsement deals. He can perform at different shows. All of this is millions of dollars, even if he didn't earn a cent from his music. But ghostwriters and beat makers, as well as others, that is their only revenue stream. And if they're getting screwed in that avenue, there's nowhere else that they can make a lot of money. But they're not famous, so their problems aren't heard. And even if they were heard, the fans wouldn't care. I continued saying the following: there is no stopping AI in music. Pandora's box is open. Either you find a way to take advantage of it, or keep your head in the sand and lose later on. The only reason consumers are mad is because they are told it's AI. The moment they don't know, it's over. In this video, I ask you to open your mind if you emotionally feel that AI in music is wrong, especially if you were not involved in music creation. I'm going to go over why I believe this takedown is wrong, why hating on AI is also hypocritical, and potential use cases that everyone would benefit from in the future. When UMG took down the song, they released a statement saying the following: UMG's success has been, in part, due to embracing new technology and putting it to work for our artists, as we have been doing with our own innovation around AI for some time already. With that said, however, the training of generative AI using our artists' music, which represents both a breach of our agreements and a violation of copyright law, that person didn't use the artist's music, as well as the availability of infringing content created with generative AI on DSPs, begs the question as to which side of history all stakeholders in the music ecosystem want to be on: the side of artists, fans, and human creative expression, or on the side of deepfakes, fraud, and denying artists their due compensation. These instances demonstrate why platforms have a fundamental legal and ethical responsibility to prevent the use of their services in ways that harm artists. We're encouraged by the engagement of our platform partners on these issues as they recognize they need to be a part of the solution. If you have a massive corporation telling you what side of history you want to be on, the likelihood is you're probably in the right for doing the opposite of what they're telling you is the right thing. After all, if you were to directly ask the artist who has denied their artists due compensation more than major record labels. There's also the question of copyright infringement. This song was completely original except for the trained voice. Now, if you believe that's enough to take a song down, let me introduce you to two other examples: Future and Jay-Z, or their sound-alikes, Designer and HD. When Designer came into the scene with Panda and on the track Freestyle 4 from the Life of Pablo, he sounded identical to Future. So much so that I would say he sounded more like Future than these AIs sound like Future at the moment. So why was it legal for Designer's career to exist? Why wasn't it copyright infringement then? There was also a guy named HD who had released a song titled Ghetto Sunday in 2019. He was a New York rapper who sounded just like Jay-Z, and he went viral for it. How come that wasn't copyright infringement? Because it wasn't. There's no copyright on voice. The only thing left is an emotional argument of, well, those are people, and that's their real voice. They can't do anything about that. Okay? That's not a logical or legal argument. We're talking about the outcome, not how we got here. What's copyrighted is artist recordings. If someone got their hands on an unreleased Drake song and released it, that's copyright. But if someone sounds like Drake and it gets released, or something, then it's not copyright. So how is it taken down on copyright? It was either illegally taken down, which is possible but unlikely. A huge corporation does have the power to do something like that and worry about it later, or assume that a smaller party isn't going to sue. But I think the only grounds they had on a legitimate copyright takedown was on the producer tag in the beginning of the song. Metro Boomin's producer tag that was recorded by Future. Metro Boomin is signed with Republic under UMG, which is the record label that both Drake and The Weeknd are signed to. And that checks out since they're the ones who took the song down. Some might say it was marketed as a Drake and The Weeknd song, which I get how that could be a lawsuit or a cease and desist on the marketing campaign, but not on the product. If I say that a t-shirt that I made was designed by Ralph Lauren and it wasn't designed by him, nor were any of the designs similar to that of his brand, they can't take my product down, but they could sue me for using his name in the advertising of said product. The title of the song itself, when brought to market, Spotify, Apple, etc., had no mention of Drake or The Weeknd. And yes, he did say that he used AI to make a Drake song featuring The Weeknd, but that's not saying they made it. It's making it clear he made it with AI, which is probably a gray area, but we do have one frame of reference, which is the Midler versus Ford case in 1988. Ford Motor Company was working with an advertising agency in 1985 for the Ford Mercury Sable with a series of commercials, using popular songs from the 70s for each commercial. The agency tried to get the original singers. For about 10 of the 19, the agency wasn't able to get the original, so they used sound-alikes. The song that is the subject of the case was Do You Want to Dance by Bette Midler. They obtained the license to use the song, but Bette Midler declined to sing it. So what they did was reach out to one of Bette Midler's backup singers. She recorded it to the best of her ability, and when the commercial aired, Midler was told by many people that it sounded exactly like her on television. Midler sued them for the protectable property right of publicity for her voice. Now it's important to note, neither Midler's name nor image was used in the commercial, and they had the license from the copyright holder of the song to use it. In this case, it would be the record label. The only thing debated in this case was the voice, and Midler lost. The court ruled that there was no legal principle preventing imitation of Midler's voice and gave judgment to the defendants. She would then appeal the case in California court with a totally different outcome this time. They evaluated it through the First Amendment and found that it protects the likeness and sound when producing another person's identity. She was not seeking copyright damages for the song, but the use of her voice, and the appellate court decided that the voice of a singer is so unique and imitating something that is so personal without expressed consent is illegal. The court ruled in her favor and she won $400,000 in damages on her claim. If we take this as precedence, that means Ghostwriter didn't do anything wrong, copyright related in his song, ignoring the Metro Boomin tag, which means that UMG wouldn't have had the right to take down the song otherwise. It would have to be either Drake or The Weeknd themselves to sue for damages. As of now, the only thing that we've seen done successfully is Ghostwriter using AI to successfully replicate the voice of an artist. The argument a lot of people are making is that it's fake and not their real voice, which is hypocritical if you're at all supportive of Autotune, which everyone is now. Travis Scott's voice is not even Travis Scott's voice. Have you heard Yeet when his voice wasn't mastered, the raw vocals? Have you heard Young Thug's raw vocals? Autotune is now widely accepted, and a lot of the younger generation who may have been born after 2000, and definitely after 2004, never saw how controversial it was. TPain even talked about it, saying the following.
He sounded real concerned. He was like, man, you kind of fucked up music. I didn't understand. Usher was my friend. He was like, nah, man, you really fucked up music for real singers. Literally at that point, I couldn't listen. Is he right? Did I fuck this up? Did I fuck up music? And that is the very moment, and I don't even think I realized this for a long time. That's the very moment that started like a 4-year depression for me.
Autotune allowed for artists who either weren't born with or hadn't developed the ability to sing well or to have certain vocals to create those vocals, or manipulate their voice in a software with vocals to allow them a wider range of sound than they would have ever had naturally or developed. And TPain got the worst of this, which is unfortunate because TPain is an outstanding singer without Autotune. You even had rappers like Jay-Z creating songs like DOA, Death of Autotune, where he rapped, "This is anti-Autotune, death of the ringtone. This ain't for iTunes, this ain't for sing-alongs. Y'all singing too much. Get back to rap, you T-Painin' too much." All of these rappers that you love today, during this era, they got a ton of hate. Some might say it was justified. Why should they be able to sound the same or as good as a real vocalist? It's not natural for them to be able to manipulate their voice like this. Sounds similar to any anti-AI arguments you've heard? The majority of fans hated it at first too, but over time, eventually everyone accepted it. There are still some artists and rappers in particular who refuse to use Autotune, but they're just coming into a race with a disability. Nobody will stop listening to a rapper or artist because they use Autotune now. It's expected at this point. But this created a new skill. Who was talented enough to manipulate their voice in the best way, master the software, and create amazing music that people were going to resonate with? The first was TPain, but others followed, like Lil Wayne, Future, and of course, Travis Scott. AI is just a tool that a human is directing it which way to go. It's not completely computer generated yet. If we rewind further back, and we still get this argument sometimes, is producer software, whether that's FL Studio, Ableton, Pro Tools, Logic, whichever you use. The criticism is that these producers who are wildly successful can't play a single instrument, which sometimes is correct, other than perhaps the piano or the keyboard. Are they really creating music? And then sampling as well. It's another that critics of hip-hop will use, and fans of hip-hop have no qualms with that. As a matter of fact, a lot of fans will jump at the opportunity to defend and justify that these producers are still talented despite not knowing how to play any instruments, as well as sampling music from the past too. Not only that, fans will say it's original too, which is a nuanced argument, and I'm not here to argue against that. But I understand why people who can play many instruments would feel a type of way, or people that create all original music without samples would feel the way that they do. It's the same reason why you might hate AI right now. These softwares that producers use opened up the gates for someone who isn't traditionally trained in all of these instruments, which likely costs money and a decent upbringing, to be able to have the sounds at their fingertips, and with a significantly less amount of practice, be able to create great music that resonates with the people. Production software democratized music production. Autotune democratized vocal recording in music, and AI will democratize music more than both of these. We just don't know how yet. Then we can't neglect how people were initially saying they would never listen to a rapper that has writers or ghostwriters. Yet here we are, years after the Drake exposal. Even Snoop Dogg said a ton of his music was written by someone else. And while it still is a big moment whenever someone is exposed, it does not affect the consumption of the music whatsoever. Anybody that is pretending they are too good to listen to AI music right now should be ignored. These are the people who lag when every new opportunity comes around, or any new technology, and are the last to adopt. The truth is, consumers only care about one thing, and that's the product. As long as a hit is being produced, it will be listened to. And the best part about it is when these record companies get onto this technology, they will never even tell you it was created with the help of AI. So you'll be enjoying AI music without even knowing it. Some people have already put it out there that there is a possibility that record labels will now put it into contracts that they'll own the artist's voice. I don't know if this is legally possible, because at that point, wouldn't it be unconstitutional? You have a right to freedom of speech under the US Constitution. If a record company owns your voice and you say something they don't like publicly, they can just take it down. There are also many artists that you know about that release music under a completely different name, but the same voice. The record company does not own any of that music. In the contract, they own the likeness and the brand or image, not the voice. I don't want to get too into that though because it isn't necessary. Considering the legal precedent of Midler versus Ford, the record labels have zero right to your voice as an artist, which should be the most liberating thing an artist could hear right now, and which is likely why UMG is telling people to get on the right side of history. If you're an artist, you can approve your voice to be used by other artists with AI, and we already have someone who decided to step up and do that. Grimes sent out a tweet saying, "I'll split 50% royalties on any successful AI-generated song that uses my voice. Same deal as I would with any artist I collab with. Feel free to use my voice without penalty. I have no label and no legal bindings." Even if she did have a label, it would still be in her right to do this. Instead of a record label having to approve every feature that an artist can appear on, now the artist can just allow people to use their voice. And this leverage that record companies had is in danger of being lost. However, there would be copyright issues if they're using the same name and image, which is what makes it difficult to promote these AI-related songs. Who else can this help? Well, I believe people like DJ Khaled would benefit from this immensely. Despite what people say about Khaled, he's a hitmaker. He puts the pieces together. An executive producer. He hears a hit before making it. And now he doesn't need the same pieces, yet can still use his own brand, which is huge, to promote a song. This Rick Rubin clip is very important for this discussion as well. This man was the founder of Def Jam, one of the most iconic music labels in history. And while I believe he does have some music ability, what talent does he have? Knowing that something is good music and a hit. So if somebody is able to hear a hit song in their brain, but doesn't have the technical skill or vocal ability to put it together, however with AI now they can, is that person not talented? They took something from their thoughts to market, and it resonated with the people. That is something to be commended regardless of how it is done. Just because something is harder and takes longer doesn't mean anything. With that logic, we should respect people riding horses instead of cars and sailing the seas instead of flying in airplanes. Do me a favor. Let's imagine you're an executive producer or a DJ Khaled. You have a beat or melody already and a song concept that you know certain artists would sound great on. Well, instead of buying a feature, trying to get them in the studio to record it and send it over, hope it sounds good like the reference track you gave them, etc. Now you can create the song, make the artist sound exactly like you want them to, then you can send it to them and just get approval. They didn't have to get in the studio. They didn't have to listen to the beat and think about what to write. They didn't have to re-record anything. All they had to do was listen to it and see if they liked it, or if they want something changed, they would let you know, and that's it. It saves everybody time and headache. I'm saying send it to the artist because you'll need to get it cleared if you're using their name or likeness to promote the song, which is why this ghostwriter thing is a gray area, because in Midler versus Ford, the backup singer was singing an already original song that people associated with Bette Midler. What this AI artist ghostwriter was doing was completely original music, so there is that distinction to make. People who are great at arranging music can excel now. So what I see changing is great music and marketing for sure is going to flow to the top priorities rather than just technical skill. This is all assuming production doesn't get replaced by AI, which I don't believe we're close to yet, and even then, current good producers will be the ones best equipped to use that technology anyway, so not much changes there. This can also keep artists' careers alive while they're locked up, allowing them to create quality music. Right now, 2 examples, YNW Melly and Young Thug are facing a case that is costing them a lot of money to fight. The only way to get new music from them is trash quality jail phone recordings or releasing songs that they had recorded prior. But if their voice had been trained to AI, they could write and perform new music on the jail phone. They throw that into the AI, and now it's spitting out new, high-quality music from behind bars. Fans get to hear what they're going through emotionally. The artist gets to release new music to make money to fight their case, and the record company gets to earn with the artist. Win, win, win. We also need to get into something that a lot of fans may not want to believe, and that is, a lot of these artists, when they blow up, they get so many new opportunities they're interested in exploring that they don't even want to make music anymore. Or at least in the period of their life that they're pursuing these new opportunities. But if they don't make music, they'll fall off. Just take a look at Jack Harlow, for example. He just worked on a movie. He had to learn how to act, and then do everything involved with that. Also toured. And I'm not saying he fell off, but he has not released a single song for what is almost a year now. And his last album was considered a disappointment by the majority of people. But with AI, a team could be dedicated to creating new Jack Harlow records. He would really only have to write if he wanted to. Otherwise, he could just approve records that they submit and can release high-quality music while still capitalizing on all of these other opportunities outside of music. A lot of producers send full reference tracks out now with their beats. So this makes the producer's job easier because they can just send individualized reference tracks with the voice of the artist they want to get on the beat. Now that artist hears themselves instead of having to imagine how they would sound on the track, as opposed to the voice on the reference track. That is one thing I see going up a lot in this new market. Reference tracks will be everywhere, more than they already are right now. I know, at this point the genuine artists and the real music lovers are probably frustrated, which is fine. There are still rappers that refuse to let anyone write anything for them. There are still producers who refuse to have ghost producers and only want to make beats themselves. And there are still artists that refuse to use Autotune. But you can never fight the direction the market is going in. And just like those artists are getting left behind in terms of popularity, those who don't adopt AI will eventually get left behind too. That doesn't mean they can't have a good career and support themselves, but the top of the top in any field is always using every advantage possible. And to forgo that means you do not seek to be at the top, which is fine, but there's no closing Pandora's box because you don't like that people are using these things. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Did this change your mind? Did it at least make you think about it differently? Do you hate AI? What problems do you have with AI in music? Just be respectful while voicing your thoughts.